Are you comfortable?
I'm not used to this level of comfort.
The reactions have been amazing. To actually see it in the flesh and then get to be a passenger, it's been great.
I don't think I've been in a vehicle as smooth as that for many years.
The driver is a great feeling, isn't it? That's incredible.
That is gold standard.
We seem to be live already. You see, that's the great thing about technology, is you have a thing in your ear and it doesn't work. So we'll just bin that. Welcome to a very special live edition of Building the Grenadier. Why are we live? Well, because today there is big news, not about engineering, but about ownership, how we're actually going to be able to buy Grenadiers and how INEOS Automotive plans to help us look after them. So I have herded together a team from Grenadier to find out more. I've invited along a trailer load of very keen Grenadier enthusiasts who are lurking in the dark over there. Now, we told them to wash before they came, and we can tell you're very proper potential customers because there's still that unmistakable whiff of red diesel in the air. Yes, they are here. I can just about see them. We'll hear from you a little bit later on. But we also want to hear from you because our social media lines are open, so if you've got any questions or thoughts about the Grenadier at all, not just about sales and service, then we want to hear them on Twitter at INEOS Grenadier using the hashtag BTG Live. So let's get straight into the nuts and bolts of this with Mark. You are the kind of commercial director of INEOS. Yep. You're in charge of everything customer facing. This is a big announcement. This is a very posh setting. I was expecting to be in a shed somewhere surrounded by cows. So it's clearly an important decision. What is the announcement?
So thank you, Mark. It's as you said in the intro, we've been talking a great deal about the vehicle, and rightly so. Great to have a prime example in front of us now.
In a rather tasty colour. I haven't seen it in this colour before.
Very nice colour, which hopefully the lights show up to its finest. So, and the engineers are out there doing all their testing. But one of the key things that we know we wanted to address, and this is the time to do so, which we're being asked again and again, is how am I going to get my Grenadier serviced? Where am I going to buy it from? And how am I going to get it looked after and get the parts I need if there is a problem or I need to
So what is that plan? I mean, in terms of delivery, because it's very different to what's offered by the automotive industry generally. So if I'm going to buy a Grenadier or I'm going to get it serviced or looked after, in headline terms, how is it different?
Well, in headline terms, we've looked at what's great about the industry, and we will certainly be working with established dealer groups, but we've also tried to look a bit more broadly at 4x4 specialists, look at even in rural areas, look at agricultural distributors as well, because I think the secret source of all of this is for people who, like us, have a passion about this project and really want to work with us. So physically, we're going to be talking about around 200 sales and service outlets around the world from when we start deliveries, which will be July next year in Europe. We'll talk more about that in a bit. And then also there'll be, of course, in the 21st century, the ability for people to use our digital channels as well, to do as much as they want to do their research, even to go through the process of buying the vehicle digitally.
Okay, so hundreds of retail partners getting signed up across the world.
Yep.
You'll be able to get access to them on the ground if you want, but if you actually want to buy a Grenadier online, you don't want to actually see any salespeople from Grenadier, that's fine, you could order one from your tractor.
It will be doable from the tractor, but of course we know what we are, which is a new brand, it's a new product. There'll be a lot of people, most people we think, who'll want to kick the tyres, have a proper test drive, get the thing good and muddy, and for that you need a hell of a good network around the world.
So how hard was it to do this? What was the challenge in terms of, you're a startup, blank sheet of paper, I've used that expression so many times, but it's true, to create what is such a different model that, I mean, I can see even by the looks of faces of the guys here, actually that's kind of how we want to buy our vehicles, but that's not the way the automotive industry does it. So you're trying to do something, not only build a new vehicle, but actually build a completely new model for selling it and servicing it.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that what we did and what we've tried to do throughout the project from the very get-go is to listen to people. There are a lot of things that people don't particularly like about the experience of buying a vehicle, and we've tried to take the pain out of that as far as possible. So what we're really striving for is a way of buying a vehicle that is comfortable, and then from a after-sales point of view, having service that is thoroughly convenient. So comfort and convenience are what we're trying to
Okay, and very excitingly, reservations are about to open in hours. We'll talk a little bit about that later on, if that's okay.
Of course.
Towards the end of the evening. Thank you very much for now, Mark. We'll catch up with you a little bit later on. So now we move to being able to dig down into this sales plan a little bit more, and we'll do a quick tour around the world to let you know how, when and where you can get your hands on a Grenadier wherever in the world you head off-road. So, Celine, Gary, look at you. Excited?
Very, of course.
Yeah,
Wow,
no, honestly, this is amazing. You've been working on this for like 3 years to come up with the sales plan. So to actually be able to announce it, I mean, partly that must be great, a bit of a weight off your shoulders, partly a little bit nerve-wracking because you have now got to deliver it.
Yeah, but I think I speak for a lot of people who work at INEOS. That's one of the things we love about it. That blank sheet of paper approach, it comes with some risk, but actually that's why we're here. We love the idea that we get to come to do something commercially that is built on purpose, the same as the vehicle. And what you'll hear about from everybody, I think, is the way we're coming to market is effectively built by the types of people who have come here tonight. It's from their feedback, their ideas, what they like that we've kept, and what they don't like that we hope we're going to take away.
And clearly, people are really engaged with this because we've got 20 odd who came in the trailer, but there are 75,000 people who have signed up online because they are seriously interested in a Grenadier, which is a huge number. So, just Celine, I mean, you're the kind of global head of sales and distribution. Just kind of nail, if I want to buy a Grenadier anywhere in the world, how can I do it?
Anywhere you like, because I think ultimately, it's been as Gary was saying, we start from a blank sheet of paper, but we've been very involved with our customers, and it's been from the beginning clear to us that when we want to buy the vehicle, just keep it simple. Don't make this any more than it needs to be. Tell us about the vehicle. Make it transparent how we buy it. So for us, it's been from the outset very, very clear that ultimately we've got the simplest job in the world, because the way you can buy it, you can go online, you can do as much online as you want in markets where this is possible. You get your retail finance organized, you get your part exchange dealt with online. But if you want to go to a retail partner, we are set up there, anywhere in the world, and those retail partners do as Mark was saying. They are experts themselves on the 4x4s. They know off-roading. They know the type of customers that will be walking through the doors. And when you walk to any of our retail partners, you're not going to walk into a gin palace. You're walking into an environment where the vehicle is absolutely the showroom. So we
have got an image, haven't we, of what potentially it will look like. If we can have a quick look at that, would be nice. It's clearly a showroom from a retail partner, but I'm getting a sense from you that sort of expect the unexpected, because this is not going to be Grenadiers sold. I mean, it looks amazing, but it's not going to all be like that, because you're talking about retail partners across the board. Some will be agricultural suppliers, small family businesses. Is that because to you guys actually having people who know what they're talking about and a real passion for off-roading is more important than anything. We're all very conscious, aren't we, of, every manufacturer says all our salespeople are experts, and we all know buying cars, they're not. So actually delivering that, where you've got people who really understand your language, what you're talking about, what your needs are, is critical.
100% critical, and the people, the partners that we have been announcing already since last week and that we're working with, they share that. They share that passion for the 4x4. They truly have a story to tell. This is not something that they've read up on. This is not a spec sheet kind of knowledge. This is practical knowledge about a 4x4. And that's the kind of partner that we're engaging with. And what you see in the image there, that is an example of what the showroom would look like. But it can be much simpler even than that, because ultimately, as I said, it's the Grenadier that's the showroom, and that's all we need.
I think it's also the function of that space as well, in that yes, we'll have digital, but it shouldn't just be a choice between online or come and see us. One of the main functions of this kind of the showroom should really be, over time they become the clubhouse for people in very much the same ways you see with motorcycle brands. Actually, I'd be very happy if a lot of customers don't come to the showroom at all, actually, because that means we're taking the test drive vehicle to them. If we have a customer who lives in the countryside, that's where they're going to use the vehicle. The idea they drive to us into a town to drive it around some traffic lights as their test drive is awful. So the function of the space should be very different as well, and again, really reinforce what we're saying about customers having choices that suit them and reflect their usage of the vehicle.
I can't tell you how many times farmers, good friends, have said to me they've gone to buy a new 4x4 and they've walked in to a showroom in their boiler suit, and everybody basically turns away and pretends they're busy on their computers.
Yeah.
That should not happen.
No, they should feel comfortable, bring their mud in and bring the vehicle back after they're finished with it, with the mud on it as well.
Quite frankly, I would be disappointed if one of our vehicles didn't have some mud on it. Well,
you send them back out. They bring it back too clean. You go, sorry, off you go. You need another 2 hours. This is where you need to drive.
Let's keep it real. It is,
So it's a very ambitious model. It's a huge challenge now delivering it. You've got a lot of people, hundreds of retail partners already signed up. Is the model the same around the world?
We will, have to apply a slightly different model depending on where we are in the world, right?
Okay.
So but it doesn't take away from the fact that the people that we are partnering with continue to share that same philosophy. That is, we really want to create a journey where it's as simple and as transparent as possible, and where we invest the time and money in creating, an environment for a customer where they learn about the vehicle, where the expertise is there. And so it's almost irrelevant what the model is, as long as we embrace that same philosophy.
Okay, and we can check that out right now, because around the world, we have got some of your team from North America, from Australia. Greg, hello. What time is it in the morning, Greg? And you? Oh, you're not morning.
No, I think...
Oh, we can't hear Greg at the moment, which is a shame, because Klaus is here. Hi, Klaus, how are you? Can we hear you, Klaus?
Very good. Thanks, Mark.
We can only just hear you guys. I hope that's coming through. Our technical guys, can we turn them up a bit, because no one can hear in here? Hopefully that's coming up. Greg, just test me again.
We'll shout louder, Mark.
Okay, we cannot hear you at the moment, but we will try and come back to you. We've obviously got, in these regions, North America, Australia and Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa, Europe. Grenadier is global.
Grenadier is absolutely going to be global, and unfortunately we can't hear the guys now, but as you see, we are building teams in the United States, in Cape Town for Sub-Saharan Africa, in Melbourne for Asia Pacific, Australia, New Zealand, and you see Klaus there covering Europe. It is, what we want to absolutely make sure is that, wherever we are in the world, we have that local team in place, and to ensure that that we're close to the customer wherever we are in the world. And if we get our technical issues resolved...
let's try them again. Are you there, Greg?
I'm definitely here.
Hey, fantastic! We can hear you in North America. How you do? You have literally only landed in the last 2 weeks to set up office and everything in North America. What's the reaction been to Grenadier over there?
fantastic. Although the process, of course, has been running for several months before that. I've been backwards and forwards, and the response has been phenomenal so far from potential customers, but importantly also potential partners that are going to join us along this journey.
Okay, and what's just in terms of, you say you're kind of setting up now, when will deliveries be possible and to new customers in North America, and do you have a price point yet?
So Mark mentioned earlier on about the global launch, particularly in markets like the UK and Europe being summer of next year. We'll lag a little bit further behind that from a North American perspective, so look for the deliveries early summer of 2023. We won't actually be announcing guideline pricing for North America this week, commensurate or corresponding to when we start taking reservations. But people are going to be able to do the mental math to give themselves a ballpark of where the vehicle is priced and positioned in the market.
And the challenge of North America, it's a big old place, and you've then got Canada and you've got Mexico to think about.
Yeah, it's vast, but I think it's filled with a vibrant off-road community, some really fantastic competition here that are very well established. But we have a passionate driver base here that use their vehicle to the absolute fullest. They utilize it, whether they depend upon it for work or to use it to the extreme in their leisure purposes. So we're really looking forward to getting out with some of our pre-production vehicles next year to get in contact with them. And if the response from the 4,000 odd customers that have been through the prototype tours in the UK and Europe is any testament, then I think we're going to be brilliant.
Brilliant, Greg. Thank you very much. It looks like a lovely day. Where are you, in North or South Carolina?
North Carolina. We just announced our regional headquarters and operations for North America will be based proudly out of Raleigh, North Carolina.
You need to unpack the boxes and put a picture on the wall.
In process, yes. That's going to have to come last, I'm afraid.
Perfect. You could draw a Grenadier with a Sharpie. It'll be fine, honestly.
I'll get my daughter right on that.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Greg. Justin, we're going to come down to you in Australia. You look after Australia and also obviously thinking about Asia. I mean, I can't think of a place in the world that's been talking more about Grenadier and begging INEOS Automotive to get Grenadiers to Australia. What's it like there at the moment?
Yeah, well, a very good morning from down here. I'm up with the dairy farmers, bright and early. Yes, there's a lot of excitement going on down here. Obviously, there's a lot of customers that have been that are really intrigued. You know, as you pointed out, 4x4 is critical for getting around these big countries down here.
So, what in terms of deliveries and so on? Because if you've just got the first Grenadier in Australia.
Yeah, our first 2B prototype arrived just a week ago, and actually today it was sent off to a proving ground here in Victoria. It's going to be doing some testing down here, and that testing regime will go on over several months, including a nice hot summer down here.
So what about delivery, timetable, and cost?
Yeah, so to give you a little bit of an idea about price, in Australia, it will be priced from 84,500 Australian dollars. And across the ditch in New Zealand, it's going to start from 93,500. And from a timing point of view, we should be delivering cars to customers in the fourth quarter of next year. So about a year's wait now. Okay, perfect, Justin. Thank you very much. Tim, Sub-Saharan Africa, you got the curtains closed. What time of day is it?
Yeah, hi Mark, hi everybody. It's 8:15 in the evening. There's a huge electric storm outside. That's why the curtains.
Oh, is it? So you're pretty much directly south of us. So again, your neck of the woods, Sub-Saharan Africa, is going to punish any 4x4 vehicle. So are people absolutely relishing the opportunity to get hold of it?
Oh, I mean, if there's a vehicle built for a continent, this is it. People can't wait to get hold of it, whether it's to drive to the Kruger National Park, the Skeleton Coast of Namibia, right up to Sub-Sahara, So it's going to be, it's far built for our continent.
So what's the challenge for you? I mean, Africa's always a challenging place, brilliant place, but hard to get business done. What's the challenge for you in terms of getting these things sold, the sales setup?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest issue, Mark, is around service. We've got 3 appointed retailers in Durban, Cape Town, and Johannesburg. They're 4x4 specialists. They spend more time driving off road than on tarmac, so I can't wait to get them on board. And then infilling, we'll have service points across Africa to make sure that nobody has more than 45 minutes or 50 kilometers to drive to a service point. And we're actually working closely with BMW South Africa to appoint those service points.
Okay, wow, again, very ambitious thing to deliver. Good luck with that. It'd be great to hear more about how you get on with it over the coming months. Klaus, Europe, how on earth do you define that in terms of a market these days?
Yeah, good evening, Mark. Very difficult to define, very complex region. We are talking 30 plus countries that we need to cover. Each of those countries comes with a different taxation, a different CO2 regulation. We need to account for that. So what I've been doing over the past 12 months is building up a really strong team of experienced individuals that sit in the markets, that sit in France, in Spain, in Germany, in Italy, making sure that we select the right partners and that we are close to our customers.
And from a availability point of view, is Europe going to be essentially the same as the UK? We are part of Europe.
Yeah, we are going to be the first ones to get our hand on the vehicle, get vehicle in the customer hand, and starting in Q3 in July next year to hand over Grenadiers.
And price-wise, is it going to be obviously a similar level to here in the UK?
Yeah, so we are. Let's take Germany as a reference, where we start with 59,000 euro, including VAT, and the price varies then slightly in other markets depending on the VAT.
Brilliant. Guys, thank you very much. It's great to hear. I'm glad we sorted out our technical issues. Can't wait to hear how things go over the next few months. I'm sure we'll catch up again. Gary, coming back to you, obviously we haven't talked about the UK, so let's focus a little bit on that. That's where we live. So where are you now in terms of the setup, in terms of your retail partners?
Yeah, so I've got the pleasure of the UK, but also Middle East and North Africa as well. So maybe a bit on that to start with. So Middle East, we'll be launch markets there. South Africa, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, UAE, and we will be there from day one. We'll have some great partners. The UK MENA mix is fantastic. There's a lot of clients we have over there that would love to come and drive a Grenadier in a wet forest here, and a lot of people, I'm sure, in the room who quite fancy some warm weather and some sand dunes as well. So it's a great mixture in terms of the different kind of uses of a Grenadier. In the UK, from launch, as Klaus and Mark said, from July, the first vehicles, 23 sales and service outlets, a further 12, probably more than 12 actually service-only outlets as well, and similar kind of drive times as the other guys have spoken about. And the key thing really in terms of the selection of those partners is to mirror the mix of customers, so more agricultural partners in more rural areas, and one of which we've already signed up, and we'll have some more, much more than one, and great car partners who do a great job with their existing brands. All of whom, I suppose, if they were sat here, they would say the same things because they feel it personally and they understand Grenadier, and they could talk about it just as well and thoroughly as we could.
Bottom line is, I come back to it. This is a big challenge, and it rests on your shoulders primarily, Celine, in terms of making what is a great, inspiring, exciting plan actually come to fruition. Can we, I have to say this, as users of these vehicles, as people who are going to buy them, it's going to be a leap of faith for people. Whatever happens, whatever we know about this amazing vehicle, it's still a leap of faith to go, I'm going to buy this brand. And the big issue is going to be, how simple is that process? Is it at the right price? And ultimately, we'll talk to Steve later, but about service. It's a big thing to deliver. Are you up for it? You're going to do it?
You've seen a team around the call today, very experienced team, and yes, we are. And the reason I feel so confident about it, because we've done everything out in the open, and there isn't actually this. This is not a huge reveal for us because we've been engaging with customers, the people that are in the studio today. We know what the customer wants. And you and I just had the conversation. What would you like? Well, I much prefer to be in a field and talking to somebody who actually knows about this vehicle than a shiny showroom. So the job is incredibly simple. Just keep it real. Focus on the Grenadier. Make sure that the experience that the customer has is is simple, it is transparent, and it is straightforward. Well, I have the easiest job in the world, don't I?
You probably don't, to be fair. To be fair, but it's great. The confidence is brilliant, and it's kind of inspiring for everybody who potentially is thinking of buying one. So thank you for now. We're going to get you back, if that's okay, a bit later on when we get questions. If you've only just joined us, why? Where have you been? We've been talking about sales so far, of how you'll be able to buy a Grenadier, but we are going to move on to service. So if you've missed a bit, you will be able to watch the whole of this online in a few days. It'll be put up on the Grenadier's website. So next we're going to talk about sales, and if you're going to talk about sales, service is what we're going to talk about. If you're going to talk about service, you have to be talking to Big Steve, who's essentially in charge of global after sales. Now, the last time we saw him, he was upside down in a ditch, in a 4x4 vehicle, not a Grenadier, and we lost him in Angola. So you take a look at this, a few more lovely pictures of this great vehicle, and then I'll go and track him down, if that's okay. Great car to drive, isn't it?
Oh, it's amazing to drive.
Honestly, every time I watch those images, it just brings me back to driving it. It wasn't seriously off-road, but it was off-road enough. And I've never been anything smoother in my life off-road. Such an exciting thing to drive.
I totally agree. And I was seriously off-road just last week in Kosovo. So yeah, it's an absolutely amazing vehicle.
Which kind of illustrates the fact that you might be head of after sales, but you sure as hell aren't doing it just from sitting in an office in London. You are out and about, talking to people who've actually got to fix, repair, mend Grenadiers. So let's just nail this in terms of the service, because I think this is absolutely almost more than buying one. It's the people who want Grenadiers want to know that when they need fixing, they can get it done quickly, promptly, efficiently. So servicing, I've got a Grenadier, I want it serviced. How are you going to deliver that?
You know, I think you've heard all the guys say about, retail partners. So we've got layers within our servicing capability. And what I mean by that is the retail partners will all have workshops that can work on the vehicles and will be trained to work on the vehicles. Underneath that, we've got a global agreement with Bosch, and we will hand-pick the Bosch car service sites to help fill out the gaps and spread our service-only sites as we go forward. Similarly, I think you heard Tim mention about BMW in South Africa. Where it's convenient and where it's working for both companies, we're also looking at the BMW after-sales network. Underneath all that, then is support from HQ, from my team and the teams around the world. So it's not just sales teams that we've got around the world. There's also technical teams around the world as well, in place now, other than the recruiting that we'll do into America as well.
Okay, so the servicing could be done at a retail partner, which would be a conventional, workshop, as you might imagine. But could it be, if you live in the middle of Australia and your local town has got 300 people in it, and there's a workshop that fixes everything from washing machines to cars, is that workshop going to be able to service your Grenadier?
I think if that workshop was prepared to service our Grenadier, we would absolutely talk to them and make sure that they've got the right support, make sure that they're in the right place, and ensure that, not only could we offer them training, but do they fit our profile? And they probably do, because they're in the outback. They're surrounded by Grenadiers. And if that means that we then offer that also to fleet organisations, that's also something we're prepared to do.
Okay, so we've got places to fix it.
Yep.
There are going to be lots of those. You're never going to be that far from one, is the plan.
Yes.
What about getting hold of spares? Whether you're actually the bigger workshop, more importantly, the smaller workshop, or if ultimately it's DIY, and you, again, are in remote parts of the world where a lot of Grenadiers are going to end up, how are you going to get hold of spares?
So we've looked at a number of industries and not just looked at the motor industry. We've tried to take all the best ideas from places. So from a spare parts point of view, we're in the process of signing up with a global logistics and parts movement provider, which will be announced probably into the end of October, beginning of November. But what that will give us two phases of approach. One, that we'll have a central European hub where our parts will be. We'll have forward operating bases. So our forward operating base in Asia Pacific area to ensure that we've got parts already there, and similarly in America. So we've got parts already in America. And our phase 2 approach will then be into Africa as we build our vehicles in service as we go forward. And our target is to push those parts around the world where needed within a 24-hour period, particularly the fast-moving required items.
Okay, again, a challenging target, but doable, you think?
Absolutely. In today's modern world of logistics and movements subject to fuel crisis, but moving those things around, then absolutely, yeah, it's well doable and something really confident about.
Okay, so what about technical support then? Because before you're going to buy the part, somebody's going to have to take a Grenadier to pieces. And again, I'm sure I talk for this lot over here who drive 4x4s. The most irritating thing in the world is when you think, I could do some of this myself, and you cannot get a proper workshop manual, the same workshop manual that like the dealer franchises have.
Well, the good news is you can with us. We will make our workshop manuals not available, in fact, available to everybody.
Okay, this is the kind of thing it will look like?
Yeah, this is an example of our parts catalogue, which will then fit into our workshop manual. So the idea behind this is joining the technology together in a digital world, but picking the part that you need, adding it to an order, and picking your address. Also then allowing people to look at our repair and how we'd go about repairing, for example, a side window, as you see. What you need to do, step-by-step guide on the right-hand side, walk people through it almost in a YouTube-type video way, and then similarly, that will be available in all our repair manuals and available to everybody. And the last bit that we'll see on here will be about technical information and where you'd get that technical information from, and how you'd pick up the individual component, turn it around, move it around. This is the CAD data from our vehicle, and this is something we're very interested in making available.
Okay, and it will be available to all of us.
Yes.
Okay, which is a revelation, frankly.
Indeed.
And I'm sure, is that good? I bet it is good. There's a lot of thumbs up over there. We all want workshop manuals. Okay, very quickly, just warranty. How's that going to work? What kind of level of warranty are we going to get?
So warranty, we've got a core warranty across the world of 3 years and unlimited mileage. And there will be regional variations for local market conditions, but a strong warranty with, a strong product backup.
Perfect. Steve, later we'll get you back for some more questions in a few moments. Thank you very much indeed. There will be more information on both the sales plan and the servicing plan on the Grenadier website over the coming days. So another chance for you to look at the lovely 2B prototypes on their tour and test, and then we're going to be over to you and your questions. Okay, you all ready?
Yeah.
It's like being at school.
Absolutely.
It's like being at school, isn't it? Make yourselves comfortable. Right, we're going to start. They've been very patient, our little team of enthusiasts here. Our first question, sir. What's your name and what's your question?
Hi, my name's Paul. My question to the team is, we've seen it in 5-seat formation as it is. What's the chance of adding more seats into the rear? Is that a possible thing for future models, or is it literally just going to be the 5 seats?
Good question. Thank you very much for asking
it. Paul. I think I'll take this one if I may. So the station wagon will be available in 2 or 5 seats. So there'll be a commercial variant as a 2-seater or a 5-seater. That will be that for this vehicle. The great thing, as you know well, about a body-on-frame construction is the format is very flexible. We've already said we're going to do a pickup. And I'm otherwise going to be a bit tight-lipped, I'm afraid, but you can maybe take from that there's potential to do more with this great platform.
Can I push you a bit further on that?
Can.
Even though you are tight-lipped, what about, I mean, we're moving into an EV world. A lot of people are asking about, hang on, is this a potential either electric or hydrogen for Grenadier? Is that in the planning process?
Great question. I think alternative fuels are where we're all going. We know what's going on from a regulatory point of view. INEOS is quite good with hydrogen. So as a parent company, we've got a lot of expertise in that area. And we have got an agreement with Hyundai. We're developing a very close relationship with them, because for us, the hydrogen fuel cell vehicle is probably the best application with the Grenadier. You'd have to have a lot of battery weight to make this into a battery electric vehicle. But of course, we'll keep an eye. It's a very fast-moving environment, Mark. And we'll keep an eye on technology and, of course, infrastructure as that develops.
And as with, I mean, building the Grenadier, you've given me access behind the scenes to be able to look at the engineering of this vehicle. But are we going to get the same kind of openness in terms of the development of the future models that might come out?
Absolutely. We want to carry on listening, taking input and working with expertise wherever we find it, which is that sort of open source approach has been at the core of the project from the beginning, and will definitely carry on.
Perfect. Right, we are getting so much stuff coming through on social media, as you might expect. There's so many people who want to know more about the Grenadier, but a really common theme coming through at the moment. Can you confirm UK pricing? I'm looking at you, Celine, Gary.
Gary, since you cover the UK.
Yeah, UK prices. So yeah, lots of coverage online on this today. So as Mark said, 2-seat commercial vehicle is our base model. 48,000 RRP, including VAT, is the estimated start price in the UK. And I think that the key thing to say in pricing more generally, and this applies to all markets, this won't become one of those vehicles that has a from price of 48, but actually by the time you've put really a lot of the basic things on that you expect, this doesn't become, towards double that, like some vehicles do. So 48,000 for a 2-seat commercial, for which you'll get a very, very capable, well-equipped vehicle.
Okay, and it's worth saying as well, I mean, we had a conversation earlier about this, is there a lot of people who would love it if this vehicle cost 25 grand. That would be a dream for many people. But the reality is, it's just not possible to produce a vehicle engineered to this standard for that kind of money.
That is a lot of vehicle. I think that's the key point to make. We've been very deliberate in choosing the partners and the components. We've got fabulous engines under the bonnet. We've got incredibly robust axles, front and rear. The frame, using Magna to do all the engineering development work. This is a vehicle we have not done by halves. And that's because it's got to be durable. It's got to go on and on. It's got to be robust. And that's where it comes out in terms of price.
That's what it is.
And it's more about value than hitting a price point.
And how long it will last, and how long you can own it for, and so on. Okay, so Jones Jangle wants to know, picking up on your point, Mark, about the other models.
Yeah.
You've already told everybody that there will be a crew cab pickup.
Yep.
Is there a timeline on that, or is it still very much on the drawing board?
It's more than on the drawing board. It's coming along well. Our focus very much is on getting started. I think the key thing, I've been on the project for 3.5 years now. We're building a new car company as well as a new product line, and we've got to be careful not to bite off more than we can chew. But the pickup's coming along really well. We're doing the same thing as we've done with the station wagon, which is talking to a lot of people to get a clear sense of what they want. But the building blocks are going to be, of course, fundamentally the same, and we're very confident in the strength of those building blocks.
Perfect. Jack Itken wants to know, this is one for you, Steve, how will they be serviced? You've talked about that. Yep. But he specifically mentions BMW dealerships, any association with the network maybe, because obviously there's quite a lot of this vehicle that lots of smaller garages, individuals who own them will be able to fix them, but the engines, the transmission, the powertrain is probably the most complicated bit of it.
Yeah, and I think that's the bit where we've got the layers of support with the retail partners. It won't all be BMW network, without a shadow of a doubt. I think, as I said earlier, Tim has picked up in South Africa that BMW is going to work very closely with us. It's a good partnership that's been negotiated there with our powertrain partner, and also the Bosch support as we go forward with Bosch Car Service.
John Coleman wants to know, is it coming across the pond to the States? Well, to be honest, John, Greg said yes, but not quite yet. So you've got to wait a bit longer. If you live in North America, Canada, Mexico, it's going to be 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we're absolutely doing tonight is reservations are opening, including North America. But yes, as Greg already said, when the vehicles arrive, it's going to be early 2023.
And just picking up on that, is there a sense of what the volumes, the number of units will be going to these different places? Because the factory in Malmö is coming, Hambach is coming along nicely. It's obviously it's producing vehicles now, but they're still prototype vehicles essentially. So how many are you going to be able to churn out in a year, and how many are going to go where?
Shall I do this one, or would you like to do this?
I'm happy to take this one. I'd say, to start off, we've always been talking about, for peak year 2026, around the 30,000 vehicles. Of course, tonight we know that, it's 75,000 people already said that they're really interested. So we, very excited about the prospect of that. In terms of where we're going to volume across the world, for Gary in UK in particular, 2,500 to start off with, a peak year 6,000. In countries like for Tim Abbott, it probably starts with 500, but then goes quickly up to the 1,000. And in the US, we're easily building it up to about 4,000 going forward. So it's the plan ultimately, it's getting to that 30,000 by peak year, but we can imagine that peak year is going to be pulled forward from 2026
because of the interest and
of the amazing demand that we've enjoyed thus far.
And the great thing about the factory is one of the reasons for buying that factory and going in there is it has scalability, it has the potential to build more.
It does. It's a fabulous factory we got at Hambach. We've been an OEM, in fact, manufacturer of vehicles since January, because we're building the Smart 4.2 as a contract manufacturer for Mercedes, for whom we bought the plant. So that's great expertise being delivered there. So and there is more room. So we could do more. But we've said from the start we wanted to take it slowly. We are a new kid on the block. We've got to prove ourselves, but we'd be delighted to have the problem of taking the volume up a little higher.
I'm sure you would. Yeah. Another question from our audience.
Thank you. Hi, my name's David Palmer-Jeffrey. Clearly this vehicle is a big attraction, but what I'd like to know is the difference between the commercial variant and the one we see here today, the 5-seat. For commercial buyers, that's of real interest and clearly not too much detail yet in the marketplace.
It's a great question.
Let me take that one. Thank you. Very, very good question. The commercial classification is one of those European standards, as you probably know. So the key differences are really the position of the middle row, the second row of seats, the seat back angle, because the load space, the packing area, has got to be at a minimum level relative to the wheelbase. And the rear door aperture has to be big enough. So I don't want to get any more technical than that, but that's the main difference between the passenger vehicle version and the commercial version.
Could I just ask, is the floor going to be flat where the seats fold down?
The floor will be flat, yes,
Great.
in the two-seat, yeah.
Okay, cool. Smoot, thank you very much. Smoot asks, when will the paint schemes be available to look at? It's a very practical question.
And the answer is very, very soon, because tonight is the night when people will be able to go on and place their reservations as hand raisers for a build slot for their Grenadier, and at the same time we'll have the first iteration of our configurator, so you'll be able to start looking at the vehicle in the various colours we've got available. So that'll be available tonight.
Okay, Celine, just so we can nail this as well. Reservations do open literally within hours. What's the process? What do people have to do? And do they have to part with cash?
Opens tonight at midnight, and that is for those people that have what we call a hand raise, has been with us for a long time. On the 14th of October, it opens for the wider public. Yes, we do ask to part with some cash. It's £450 or $450, 450 euros. That does give you the place in a reservation slot when we start taking orders. And the process is, everyone will at this point, who've been earlier hand raisers, already received an email with clear instructions on how to go online. And from the 14th of October, we we welcome anyone to come online and follow the very easy steps to register and to start becoming a part of the journey.
Perfect, brilliant. One final question. It's a good one. What is the best feature on the Grenadier for a dog?
Can I take that question?
Yeah, please.
You know, I was
do.
talking to one of the ladies here, Annie, hi, and she was just telling me that, you know, she's buying this vehicle and this is going to be the dog vehicle. She's got 2 spaniels. Did I get that right? And they're going to go back in the vehicle, and I think, you know, what's the best thing about this vehicle for a dog? You know, you got an immense amount of space, and no one is going to be upset that you're muddy.
Perfect, because you can also hose it out.
You can
That's
hose
it.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've all wanted that from day one, haven't we? Listen, guys, thank you very much indeed. If we haven't been able to get to your question, don't worry. The social media team at Grenadier will be going through all your questions and thoughts over the next few days. If you've got any more, please send them in, INEOS, at INEOS Grenadier, and using the hashtag BTG Live. So that only remains me really to say a huge thank you to our Grenadier team, both here and around the world. Massive thank you to our small audience of invited enthusiasts for joining us. And of course, for you at home for joining in, listening, spending your time wanting to find out more about the Grenadier. So whatever your time zone is, it's good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. We'll see you next time.